Okay, so this is your distal limb palpation of the forearm. So we're doing the forelimb in front. So the first muscle that we've got is the radial carpal extensor. So that comes from the lateral supracondylar crest. And then it runs all the way down to metacarpals 2 to 5 on the foot. So it's the most cranial one we've got. And this is just, as it says in the title, an extensor of the carpus. Then we've got extensor carpi ulnaris. So this comes from the lateral epicondyle of the humerus and then goes down to metacarpal 5 and then the accessory carpal bone. And again, this is an extensor of the carpus. Then we've got the common digital extensor. So that comes from the lateral epicondyle of the humerus again, and then goes down onto the distal phalanxes of digits 2 to 5. So again here, we just want to see you just palpating down the cranial aspect of the foot onto all of the phalanxes. And again, this is an extensor of the digits and then also the carpus. So it's going to help to extend the toes and the carpus. Then we've got the lateral digital extensor, that comes from the lateral epicondyle of the humerus again. And that goes all the way down to the distal phalanxes of 3 to 5. Then we've got the supranator, so that comes from the lateral collateral ligament of the elbow joint, so it's going to be the little ligament that runs across the elbow joint and then runs down onto the proximal cranial lateral surface of the radius. And then this one, what it helps to do is to rotate the forearm and the distal limb laterally, so it's going to help with supination. So when it's contracted, it's going to help to bend, as Helen's doing there, rotate the foot laterally. Then we've got pronator teres, so that comes from the medial epicondyle of the humerus, so you're going to come on the underside now and palpate your epicondyle. And then what this does is run down onto the proximal cranial medial radius, so you're going to be all quite on the medial side there, as you can see Helen's palpating on the inside there. And that helps to turn the paw and the distal limb medially this time, so we call this a pronator. So that's going to help it twist medially. Then we've got flexor carpi ulnaris, so that comes from the medial epicondyle of the humerus, so Helen's palpating on the medial side there. And that goes down onto the accessory carpal bone. So just find a little stopper pad behind there, just underneath there. And then that's a flexor of the carpal joints. That's going to help take the carpus into flexion when it's contracted. Then we've got the superficial digital flexor. Again, that comes from the medial epicondyle of the humerus. And that goes all the way down to the flexor tuberosities of the middle phalanxes and digits 2 to 5. So this is now on the underside. So this is the little brainy prominences found on the caudal portion of the phalanxes, and that's going to flex the digits this time, so it's going to help bring them into flexion, and then also the carpus. Then we've got the deep digital flexor, so that comes from the medial epicondyle of the humerus and also the radius and the ulna. And again, this inserts down onto the flexor tuberosities of the middle phalanxes this time, so not all the way down, of digits 1 to 5. So it's going to do all the toes. And again, that's going to be a flexor of the digits and a flexor of the carpus. Then the last one that we've got is pronator quadratus. So what this does is it bridges the interosseous space between the radius and ulnar bones. So this is more proximal, as Helen's showing there, and it's basically where the bones meet. We call that the interosseous space. And then that just basically, that's the origin and insertion for this muscle. And it's a pronator, so again it's going to help with turning the limb medially when it's in use. So that's all your muscles of the distal limb for the forearm.